Let's get straight into this video where we will be repairing the top box of the NT1100. This top box was on the motorbike when the motorbike fell over due to high winds and it damaged one of the hinges. And we'll take a closer look at this. This top box here has some sellotape engineering which has served a purpose and kept the top box functional for a short period of time. But now it's time to get the box repaired. So we're going to start by taking this sellotape off and manufacturing a new hinge to be fitted to the bottom half of this top box. As it happened, only one of the hinges broke. This is the one on the left hand side of the box. And as you can see here, it's only the bottom half of the hinge which has actually broke. The top half of the hinge still retains the pin and is quite secure. And if you look at the right hand side one, you can see this is intact with no problem. Here's a more detailed view of the pin and the block that's supposed to retain this pin and allow the hinge to rotate freely when opening and closing the top box. The only sensible way to repair this is to physically remove that bottom block and replace it with a new item. To do this, we will need measurements from the parts we are going to replace. We do have an original still intact, which we can use to get some accurate measurements. In addition, the broken hinge allows us to get better access to measure the parts which we can't see or access on the hinge which is still intact. So let's first of all remove the pin from the box. To do that, you will need a heat gun. Set the heat gun temperature to approximately 220 degrees. You may be able to get away with using a hairdryer and getting it nice and close. But what you need to do is to heat up the hinge, the top part of the hinge, the plastic which is on either side of the pin. And also you will have to heat the pin up as well. While you are heating up this plastic, keep checking the plastic with your finger just to see how hot the plastic is. This should be hot to touch but not melting. It's a bit of a balancing act and you have to be pretty careful. If you see how I've been going around this hinge from one side to the other side, the top, the bottom, and also on the pin itself, this is how you want to do it. And this is done in real time, so you can see how long it's taken me to get the plastic up to temperature ready for removal with a tool. Now you can use a screwdriver for this, or you can use a pin punch if you have one. I didn't have a pin punch to hand, so I just use a screwdriver. Once you have this up to temperature where it feels really hot on the hinge and the pin is nice and warm, we will have to remove the pin from the right hand side. We're going to put a screwdriver in the right hand side of that pin and we're going to push it out going towards the left. Now you will find this pin is really tight. Now while we're heating this up, just bear in mind that this top box costs about £450 and this repair is probably going to cost us about 50p, not including the time it takes to design and 3D print the part, which was about 1 hour's work. And we're going to use a little screwdriver, which is what I had handy. And this pin will be very tight to start off with, but once it starts moving, it should come out reasonably easy, as you can see here. We did have one slight issue at this stage, and that was the screwdriver that I used to push the pin out was not quite long enough. So make sure you have a screwdriver which is long enough to push it the full way. If that's not the case, then take a pair of pliers and pull the pin out like so. And there you have the pin ready to be used to fix the top to the bottom once we replace the bottom block. And to enable us to make this bottom block, we first of all have to measure the dimensions of the block in place to make sure it is accurate before we cut this off. We also have the original hinge which we can take measurements of to ensure that we get correct measurements. It's always a good idea to take pictures as well before you cut any parts off, because once you cut the parts off you will have no record of what the original was like. Once this is done, we can then take a hacksaw and start cutting off the block which is on the bottom of the top box. Take care when cutting the block off. You want the cut to be absolutely horizontal with the plastic that is going to remain on the bottom half of the top box, because later what we will do, we will get a file and file this down so it's completely flat. So we're nearly right through the plastic now, make sure you don't go too far and cut the lip that is on the inner rim of the base there. That inner rim is there to stop the water getting into the bottom of the top box, so that needs to remain intact. So all we have to do now is give this a bit of a file just to make sure this is completely flat, because this is where the new block will be bolted onto. So it's now time to go away with the measurements, draw up the part in CAD and 3D print it, ready for fitting back onto the top box. Now here is the part printed. As you can see, I have put some brass threaded inserts into the plastic. This ensures the screws have a really good threaded part to screw into. If we did not have these threaded inserts, then if we were trying to screw these screws into the plastic and try and tighten them up, there is a very high likelihood that the plastic will be stripped and you would not be able to secure this properly to the base of the top box. So here we are, we have the part, and we're now going to attach the new hinge part to the bottom of the top box. We're going to be using 3 M3 screws, and I have 3 T-nuts which have been drilled out to 4mm. This allows us to use these as washers where the screws contact the bottom of the top box. So we are going to put these in here. The third one should go in. Once that's in, we will tighten them all up, and then all it remains to do is to get the hinge pin and put that back through the top part of the top box and through this hinge part which we have just fitted to the bottom of the top box. So let's get on to putting the pin in. So here is the hinge base that we fitted and the 3 screws that's holding it on, and here is the pin. Now I'm going to put the pin from the left hand side and I'm going to push it in as far as I can with this Allen key. You can use anything you like here, as long as you have something solid to push on. It can't be pushed in manually with your hands, it's too tight. So when you get to this stage here, we are going to have to use the same method as we did when we took the hinge out, and that is to heat the plastic, both sides of the pin. There's no need to heat the pin up here, we just need to heat the 2 sides of the top part of the top box. And once we've done this, we can then push the pin in a little bit further. It took me 2 or 3 times to do this, but eventually you'll get to a stage where you can get the pin right home, as you can see here, and there it is. Make sure the pin is fully in with no part sticking out. And there you have the finished pin. Let the hinge cool and then test the hinge to see if it physically works, and there's nothing binding. As you can see here, all is looking good. Let's just check the inside of the top box and see if it's okay there as well. So here's the inside, and there's the hinge that we've just fitted, and as you can see, it's working very, very nicely. So I think that's a success. We'll get this on the bike and have another look. So here it is on the bike. We've got the repaired hinge on the bottom left there, and we've got the original hinge on the right hand side. And here it is looking from the outside of the box. This is the repaired hinge, and this here is the existing hinge which has had no damage on it. And to complete the job, here it is fitted to the bike. So there you go. This video just goes to show that it's not always good to throw everything out when things can be repaired. So if you can repair something and reuse it, better off doing it. And that's what I've done here. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in another video in the future. Bye for now.